Hi everybody, Dan Illman along with Matt Bernier. Race number 3 at Belmont Park on Belmont Stakes Saturday is the Grade 1 Ogden Phipps Stakes. $750,000 is the purse. All of our stakes previews this weekend presented by DRF Bets. Sign up, get free cash. Learn more at drf.com/bet. Let's take a look at this field of fillies and mares going a 1-turn mile and a 16th. And Matt, we're filming this on Wednesday afternoon. A lot of these horses are cross-centered on Friday. This race is still very much in flux.
It certainly is, and really the tough thing about handicapping a race like this is a lot of things can change from a pace standpoint depending on where these girls decide to go, whether it's run on Friday or run on Saturday. If it stays together and the majority of these girls run on Saturday, this is going to be an interesting race. If it does kind of fall apart a little bit from defections, then who knows? It
appears that Ivy Bell will run in this race instead of the Bed of Roses on Friday. But the key horse that you are talking about in terms of a pace scenario is American Gal, who will be the odds-on favorite if she runs on Friday in the Bed of Roses and would be a strong pace factor if she stretches out in the Phipps. Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for the Phipps. We have American Gal in this race right now. She is expected to make the lead. If she is out of this race, it changes it dramatically.
Yeah, it really does, and I think that's the toughest thing to try to go through when you break down a race like this. If you take her out, I don't really know who's a confirmed sort of front runner other than a horse like Unchained Melody. I would imagine she's going to clear off. But outside of that, you've got a lot of horses that have similar running styles, and again, that could just entirely change the way this thing looks.
American Gal, we're going to assume right now, and you know what happens when we assume, but we're going to assume she's going to run on Friday. But if she runs here and she gets an easy lead, I know she's 0 for 2 routing, but in those races she had impossible trips. With this kind of pace scenario, she could easily win this race, although like you, I was a little disappointed with that late lead change at Churchill. Maybe it was the sloppy tiring track.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that's all it was, because then we know that she's had physical issues in the past, so you hope that it's not a sign of something going wrong. I do wonder if they do, I know it's still not confirmed, but she's already a Grade 1 winner going shorter. I do wonder if that's stuck in the back of their mind that, you know what, let's try to get the Grade 1 going long.
And this is a win and you're in, I believe, for the Breeders' Cup Distaff. Whether she runs or not, the horse they're all going to have to beat is the number 6, Abel Tasman, a horse that's banked $2 million in her career, won the Acorn, Coaching Club American Oaks, Kentucky Oaks, yada, yada, yada. Now, a lot of folks are going to look at her last race, the La Troyenne, and say, hey, she deserves a mulligan, man. It was her first start off the layoff. It didn't work out for her. She's going to be sharp this time around. We know she likes 1 turn at Belmont. You and I are saying, no, she was terrible that day.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to just be as blunt as that, but that was a disaster. I mean, she didn't run a lick, and that's not the horse that we had come to know. And here I was. I had never really liked her, but I was won over by that distaff effort. And look, it's kind of a little bit odd that she was gone for as long as she was, didn't make her debut until the first Friday in May. Then you come with that effort at odds of 3 to 5, and then I don't know what you want to do with this formulator fact. Past year, dirt second after the layoff, route graded stakes races for Baffert, 1 for 20. With a 35-cent ROI. There's just so many things, to me, negative vibes coming from this group. I guess it's good that she's here, though. After such a disaster, they wheel her right back. Suppose you could spin a positive there, but to me, I want no part of her.
But we know she likes this track. Maybe the speed favoring track at Churchill Downs that day worked against her. She didn't have the greatest trip in the world. She didn't have the greatest pace scenario. We know she's talented enough to win at this price off that race. We are going to look elsewhere. If American Gal scratches, maybe Unchained Melody, as you mentioned, could be loose on the lead, as she was in the Mother Goose in 2017. And that led to a 100 Buyers speed figure. After that race, somehow, the wheels fell off.
They fell off in a major way. Obviously, the Alabama was an unmitigated disaster. She was eased in that spot, and then we didn't see her again until the Ruffian. Then the Ruffian, they come along, the blinkers go on, and she shows some speed, but not the speed that we were accustomed to seeing last year early as a 3-year-old, and the wheels kind of fell off there again. Again, the fact that they're here, I suppose that's a positive, but boy, it's so hard to be confident with a horse like this off of those 2 efforts as being the last 2 that you've seen. However, she could have a major tactical advantage if American Gal doesn't go.
And that's why I'll be a little bit more bullish on her chances if American Gal doesn't go, because she might be able to get to a nice easy lead. Vandoff in the Alabama, something happened to her, layoff in the Ruffian. Maybe I'll give her that race. Perhaps if she gets off to an easy lead, she's back to that 100 buyer and she's going to be a price. Unbridled Mo took down a big scalp last time out, and Unique Bella in winning the Apple Blossom Handicap, although it's safe to say she took advantage of Unique Bella's disastrous start, and an argument could be made she was not the best horse in the race.
Yeah, it's kind of the way that I'm looking at it. I feel like Unique Bella was the best in there. Now, look, that race has come back pretty productive. We know Unique Bella won the Beholder Mile last week with a 103. Seventh place finisher was the next out winner with a 91. I'm still not totally sold that Unbridled Mo is really grade 1 caliber, but she's nice and she's honest. 7 and 10 lifetime, hard to argue with that.
Chad Brown's turned things around with the 4 Pacific Wind. 2 starts for Chad, 2 victories. Buyer speed figures of 93, 94. Limited positive formulator fact coming up concerning Pacific Wind. Past 4 years, last out winning older horses, going third off the bench on dirt. It's the old 2 for 9 with a 385 ROI. Pacific Wind had to work a little bit, I thought, last time out, the old in-out trip, but she had to go 4 wide on the turn. She has taken steps forward, it seems, in each and every start, and she's found herself at this distance.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that at least I was taken by, she had to work a little bit. I agree with that. But when you look and watch, her ears are pricked at the very end of the race. To me, I think there's more there than what we've seen so far. I never loved her totally when she was in Southern California. I thought she could be something, and then she just kind of plateaued. Now, ever since she's gotten over here, it seems like she's just gone to the next level. We'll find out. She's going to need to run the race of her life if she's going to win here.
Burned is a late-running one-turn horse who happened to score last time out, going 2 in the Serena's Song Stakes. I think that was more because the field just wasn't very strong. She's a good horse, Burned, but she might be really behind the 8 ball from a pace standpoint if American Gal doesn't run.
And when she's been tested, she just hasn't been good enough to run with the best of the best. To me, she's underneath that best.
Highway Star is one of your favorites. She's banked $1 million in her career, but it's quite possible she's getting a little bit long in the tooth after a lot of hard racing. Last time out, only 12 days ago, she was even money. She got beat against New York breds, although I thought she moved into the teeth of the pace that day.
I agree with that, and maybe that's what cost her at the very end when Holiday Disguise beat her by a nose. I will say, with all the jockeying that's gone on as far as who's going to run where, if you think that Ivy Bell, which it sounds like is going to run on Saturday, if still there's a possibility American Gal runs on Saturday, if I'm the connections, I'm saying we're running Friday all day, and we'll just take our chances there.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Grade 1 Ogden Phipps Stakes. You mentioned Ivy Bell, and that's where I'm going to go. Interestingly enough, this is going to be the first route start in her career, in her 18th lifetime appearance. Pletcher has been wanting to stretch her out. You remember she was cross-centered on Kentucky Derby weekend, and they decided to run in the Humana Distaff, and she ran just fine against American Gal. I thought she was in behind horses at a key juncture at about the 3/16 pole, and really Javier couldn't get into her until she was clear, and by that point American Gal was long gone. I think if she's going to go a route of ground, it's going to be around one turn, and I think with her tactical pace, if American Gal doesn't run in here, there's a chance that she's sitting second and third off Unchained Melody, and that might not be a terrible spot to be in. I know our clocker, Mike Welsh, loves the work she's been doing recently.
Yeah, like you say, I mean, if Unchained Melody is the one cutting out the fractions and you're parked just off of her, boy, that's a pretty good spot to be in. Pletcher has always said, ever since he got her, that he thinks that additional distance isn't a problem. Look, the way that she's coming into this race, I wouldn't have any argument with her, and I think you should get a decent enough number. Maybe not entirely all the 12-1, but I think you get a decent price on her.
And you've been so visually impressed with Pacific Wind that you think there is more in the tank here.
Yeah, you know, when you go back and watch the very end of those races, just look at the ears. They're up, they're flicked. She's having a good time out there. She's going to need to run the race of her life, no question about it. And I am a little bit skeptical. I think she's going to get bet in this spot just because of Chad, just because of Arad. But I think we've got a forward move in her on Saturday.
Abel Tasman, the horse to beat. She's going to take her share of money, however. We're going to take some shots against her. We don't know if American Gal is running or not. You're going to do it with the 4 Pacific Wind. I'll do it with the 2 Ivy Bell. And maybe I'll fool around a little bit with the 7 Unchained Melody if American Gal does scratch. Race number 3 on Belmont Stakes Saturday is the Grade 1 Ogden Phipps for Distaffers. Once again, you can bet it with your own DRF Bets account. Will Justify take the crown? We'll find out Saturday afternoon. One thing that is for certain is you can join the Belmont Stakes action with free cash at drf.com/bet. Approximate post time for Abel Tasman and the Ogden Phipps, 12:47 Eastern. Best of luck.